Shortly after graduating with a Bachelor of Fine Arts from the University of Tampa, her work makes it to the cover of Time magazine. So how is that for a career starter? Trinidadian artist Nneka Jones is up next on Carib Nation. Hello, welcome to Carib Nation. I'm Doris Dean. It might be fair to say that my guest today, Nneka Jones, was in the right place at the right time. Shortly after her graduation from Tampa University with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, her artwork makes it to the cover of Time magazine. And George Floyd happened, impacting her life in more ways than one. Thank you so much for joining us, Nneka Jones. Welcome to Carib Nation.
Thank you for having me.
It's been quite a ride. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
On your great achievement. What a way to start your career.
I know.
Let's start by talking a little bit about that feeling when you get the news that you are commissioned to do something for the cover of Time magazine. And then we'll go back and talk about what it was and how it came about.
Yeah, of course. So actually, it was a roller coaster of emotions for me, just because when Victor had initially reached out to me, I didn't know if to believe it or not. I didn't know if it was real. So I actually had to do some background information on him just to make sure that I wasn't being scammed and it wasn't a joke.
Right. Well, Victor Williams is the art director of international art director at Time magazine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So once, everything was verified and we got the go ahead to start the project, it was shocking just because one, I was getting this opportunity to do something like this, like a cover issue, but also the time limit that I had to do it within, because I only had about 24 hours to complete a hand embroidered piece. It wasn't a painting, it wasn't a drawing.
Yes.
And it was something that I had never done before, because I usually take a week or more to produce one of my hand embroidered pieces. So a roller coaster of emotions, but definitely worth it.
Yes, I'm sure you wanted to grasp that opportunity. At the same time, how can I get all this done in a short space of time? My goodness, what a challenge.
Yes.
Let's go back and talk a little bit about, first of all, are you the activist type of person? Are you an activist naturally?
I would say so, yes, but it truly comes out in my artwork, just because I feel like conversations relating to activism, most of the times it's uncomfortable for people to sit down and have a conversation about this, or people feel as though they need something to prompt them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm able to do that through my artwork, because it helps with sustaining the conversation, not only starting it, but keeping it going, because people are able to come back and refer to the piece. Whereas with a regular conversation, you'll have the conversation for about 5 minutes and then you leave and you forget about it.
It's over, yeah.
So the piece also helps to prompt with that memory of bringing awareness to this specific issue. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I believe my activism truly comes out in my artwork itself.
Okay. Let's go back and talk a little bit about where are you from in Trinidad and what your family is like.
Of course. So I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, of course, in Carenage, and my parents, everybody was within the same area, my mom, my dad, and I also have 3 other sisters. I'm the youngest.
Oh.
And yeah, so I actually made the decision to come to the US to study, just because I felt like I would have a lot more opportunities, and education with regards to arts was a lot more developed in that area. But while I was in Trinidad, I actually got a good solid foundation, I would say, in my high school, Bishop Anstey High School, because I had teachers as well as classmates that were always very supportive of me having my artistic freedom and expressing myself. Because I could see, looking back now, early signs of activism art in the work that I created very, very early on. So I think being in Trinidad and being surrounded by the rich culture and the flamboyant culture,
Yeah.
as well as having a supportive group, was a large part of starting and solidifying my art career.
Oh, wonderful. It's good to have that very early on because it gives you the confidence, especially in the Caribbean,
Right.
where art is it's very difficult to convince people that art is a viable career, so to speak. I came
Yes.
up in that era when you didn't tell your parents you're going to do art.
Right.
As far as they're concerned, what work are you going to do with it? Art.
Right. Right. It's more so seen as a hobby in the Caribbean and something that you do for
Exactly.
leisure. It's
Yeah,
not, you can't have a sustainable career with it. But I
exactly.
think that people are kind of coming around to it now, seeing successes not only with me, but other artists and other creatives.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can change that.
Yes, because I think the Caribbean is such fertile ground for
Right.
art. I mean, you've got the color, you've got the images, there's just so much there, but it's been unrecognized for so long.
Yes.
So we depend on people like you to keep it going and take it to the wider world, and that's going to be wonderful. And
Right.
what were your parents? What did they do? What were they like in terms of? I come from a family of four girls. I'm the eldest. I'm at the other end of the
Oh,
spectrum.
wow.
I'm the
Wow.
eldest of four girls, and I had three girls. So
Hmm.
I'm in a world of girls. Um,
I think at the beginning, my parents, in terms of like when they now started having children, having my eldest sister, they were very traditional in the sense that they were more guiding them to go on the business routes.
mhm,
Um, or again, things that they believed would have a viable future with you
right.
sustaining yourself and having a career. But I think as, things started to modernize and as they made more children and they realized that limiting your child is kind of like excluding their passion. And if you're not doing something that you're passionate about, then what's the point?
What's the
You're
point?
not going to be actually enjoying yourself at work. And I would have been feeling like I was forced to do something rather than
Mhm.
doing something really because I loved it. So um, I think it's good that they have that transition of seeing how things turned out traditionally, which it still worked out for my sister just because she actually had a passion for the things that they pushed her towards.
Mhm.
But also for me, seeing how my passion allowed for me to turn this into an actual career, I believe that they did a good job.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, I come from the generation again where, as you mentioned, parents had a view that you had to be locked into certain fields in
Right.
order to make it. And we always say that the last child is the only one who always gets the freedom to do what they want to do.
I guess that's true. I guess that is true.
Because by then the parents have learned a few things.
Right.
And
Right.
the last child always gets the freedom to sort of spread their wings and fly away and do what they want to do. So that's
Right.
great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, my sisters might argue and say you actually got away with this one, but
Yes.
I mean, it all worked out, so
Yes.
can't complain.
Yes. And at school, were you a good student all around and art just sort of came to the surface, would
I
you
would,
say?
yeah, I would say I was an all-round student. Not that I'm being vain or anything, but I was
Yeah.
always um, up with my academics as well as my extracurricular activities.
Hmm.
But I could tell that I was more artistically inclined just because in my science classes or anytime I was in other classes outside of arts, if we had assignments like drawing the skeleton or anything related
Hmm.
to the human body, I was always into making sure my drawing was perfect. I was never
Yeah.
into memorizing the bones and how many bones we had, different body parts, etc. Um, I just wanted my drawing to look good and wanted to come to school the next day and hear, oh my gosh, yours looks so
Yes.
good. So
Perfect. Yes.
yeah, I remember just being into the visuals of class
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
seeing things differently than other students did. But I was always very all round.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about George Floyd and the impact that had. Now you have been here. You came to the United States primarily to go to college, right?
Yes. I
And
came in
so you've been here
2016.
for 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. In that 4 years, you obviously had a chance to observe and absorb what was happening in the American scene.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when George Floyd's death happened, how did that impact you? And what was the feeling that you had, especially coming from the Caribbean? We've always had people from the Caribbean involved in civil rights. We had Stokely Carmichael, especially coming from Trinidad and Tobago. And so, at a critical point in your life, how did this impact you? And let's talk about what you eventually did to express that.
Right. So throughout my 4 years that I've been here, I would say that there have been a couple of videos that have gone viral with regards to police brutality. But this was the first video that I had seen, that I had watched, and and cried when I watched it. And so I watched the video, I think probably that Monday, or I can't remember the exact timeline, but I watched the video and I had cried. And then I thought about it for about 2 days or so. And it just kept replaying in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like I needed to do something, not only as a Black woman and as someone from the Caribbean being in America as a Black person, but also as an activist artist. And so I decided that day that I was going to create a painting of him and put that out as
Mm-hmm.
doing my part, something that was capturing his essence, but also bringing attention to the issue, um, so that people could see that this is something that needs to change and something that needs to be fixed. And so that's when I actually sat down that day, 4 hours straight, just painted. Right
Wow.
after that, I edited the video of me painting him and posted it on my Instagram. And so a lot of people were reposting the video as well as commenting and saying, they're glad that I took the time to do this because it's not only bringing awareness to it, but it's also showing him in a different light, bringing some
Mm-hmm.
sense of hope that there will be change in the future.
Wonderful. And that painting obviously is what caught the eye of Victor Williams at Time Magazine when you posted it on Instagram. What kind of reaction did you get from people, not only from him, but from people in general? Did you get a wide range of responses from people?
So I think what happened was when people saw the image itself, they were like, oh my gosh, is that a picture of him? And then when they clicked on my profile and saw that I actually had a video of me painting it, they became more intrigued with my work. And when they dug deeper into my Instagram, they noticed that I had hand embroidered work that resembled photography or resembled hyper realistic painting. And so I think I gained a lot of followers and people subscribing to my website just because people were in awe of my ability to capture someone's essence through portraiture, but also my technical skills and me being versed in different media, using paint, using pencil, using embroidery thread. So it brought a lot of attention not only to the issue with George Floyd, but also to my brand as an artist.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Talk about that ability to use the different media, and what led you to embroidery?
So I actually, when I came to America to pursue my career in arts at the University of Tampa to get my bachelor's, I was set out that I was going to be a painter. I didn't want to do anything else but just regular paintings, hyper-realistic paintings, and portraiture. And I had taken an experimental painting class while at the University of Tampa, and it required us to think outside of the box and really push the boundaries of art in terms of creating a painting without necessarily using paint. So finding some kind of material that we would be able to manipulate to create a hyper-realistic portrait or a hyper-realistic still life. It doesn't have to be portraiture. That was just what I was into. And so that's kind of when I discovered other artists using embroidery thread to create landscapes, flowers, still lives, portraits, etc. And I was like, why not try? So my first hand embroidered piece was actually a self portrait, just because I didn't want to do a piece and it didn't end up looking like the person that I intended it to look like. So I did myself, and it actually turned out well. The response was really great. People were amazed that it was hand embroidery, and they actually told me that they thought it was a painting or they thought it was a picture.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of when I just started developing my skill with embroidery. And I think it's about 2 years now that I've been working on embroidered pieces.
Right. Wow. Yeah. That is fantastic. Now, in terms of the piece, Pharrell Williams was or is the curator of a series of essays about the whole Black Lives Matter issue and what Time calls the New American Revolution. How did they pitch that to you? And when you realized that this would bring you into the realm of Pharrell Williams, and have you met him? Have you talked with him?
I wish. I actually haven't. I haven't spoken to him. I noticed that he did follow me on Instagram, but I haven't had any interaction with him in terms of us speaking about the issue. Most of my interaction was through Victor Williams, and he initially pitched the idea to me, explaining that, you know, these were essays that Pharrell had curated, and it was about the future being more inclusive and one that reflected optimism. And so he wasn't sure of how to illustrate that in an artistic way. And so he gave me the artistic freedom in terms of developing an image that would really reflect what was inside of the magazine and what they wanted the magazine to communicate for this issue. And so we kind of went back and forth with different ideas of what truly represents America now and how we can show that shift towards a more equal future.
Mhm.
and we were able to agree on the American flag. He had initially seen the flag as how it's usually presented horizontally, but I
Yeah.
kind of pictured it vertically when he pitched it to me.
Mm.
And so that's the idea that we went with, and that's the concept of how it developed into this transition from the dark, the black at the top and very tight
Right.
stitches into fading into the traditional colors of the flag, darker reds and then the traditional red.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah,
the concept there was, first of all, why would you want to turn it the other way around? It was kind of looking up, looking down. What was the thinking behind that?
I think it's both. So initially, some people will look at the flag and think that it's representing destruction of the flag or um, some kind of a way of destroying the flag. But
Mm.
my intention is not for you to look at the flag and see destruction, it's for you to reflect. And so the vertical positioning of the flag is reflective of that transition and that remolding and reshaping of America, so that it's not that it's erasing history in any way, but it's taking what we have now and
Mm.
showing that it's an intentional work in process and an intentional work in progress, working towards a future that's reflective of a more equal and inclusive society
Mhm.
where Black visionaries and creatives, entrepreneurs, etc., have the ability to rise to very top positions just as anyone else would. And
Mhm.
not only Black people, but people of color in general. So,
So
yeah,
that is the thinking behind starting with the black and moving to the red,
yes.
to the deeper reds, and then to the light. Very, very interesting concept. Great thinking behind that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Now, looking forward, what do you think you're going to be doing next? What do you want to do next? And um, after the impact, I'm sure you will have some impact from this magazine, which was out August 31st to September 7th.
Hmm.
And so I'm sure that after that, you will have an aftermath of reaction.
Right.
What kind of reaction do you think you will get from this America, so to speak, as
Well, I'm
we see it
hoping, with regards to, in general, with society, that it will evoke some kind of positive change. I've actually had a couple of people message me on my website as well as on Instagram, with pictures of them purchasing the magazine,
now? Okay.
um, but also with them explaining what it means. Because a lot of people will just take a picture of the cover of a magazine and post it on social
Mhm.
media platforms. But for them to actually sit down and explain the meaning behind it shows that it has some kind of positive change, or it's evoking some kind of emotion out of the person, or connecting with them on a deeper level, connecting with their mind so that they feel enticed to open up and speak about what is really the meaning behind the cover. And so I'm hoping that that will continue. um, so not only Time magazine, but a lot of other magazines and probably even TV stations, etc., will get a hold of this and be able to bring awareness to it and use artists and other creatives in a way not only just for aesthetics and just for that hook of social media, but really utilizing their talents and abilities to bring awareness and bring change, especially when it's related to social injustices in society. So yeah.
Using the art for messaging,
Yes.
so to speak. Yes, yes. Well, you're really at a pivotal point in history. So
Right.
you have the oyster is yours. I think you've got a wide open range of things that you can do and places you can go with this.
Right.
Um, have you had a reaction from your art teachers and
Yes,
from
actually.
your fellow students?
Yes, so my high school art teacher, she actually reached out to me because she follows me on Instagram. And a couple of my professors from the university reached out, emailed me, just to say how proud they are of me, especially because I've only graduated about four
Yeah.
months ago.
Yes.
So it's insane.
It's
Um,
like a dream. My
I
goodness.
know, yes, yes, it is a dream.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited that I was able to have the opportunity, and it's sending many more opportunities my way. So
I'm
I'm
sure.
I'm very thankful for all of the exposure that it has given me, but also for me being able to do something because it truly means something to me and to many other people, and not just doing it for fame. So
Yes.
yes.
Did you plan to go back to Trinidad when you came originally, or was your plan to explore America and see what else was out there?
The plan really was to further my education and really dive into the arts to see if I could sustain a
Mm.
career in it. And so I'm still exploring that, because I did have a lot of doubts when I
Yeah.
first was doing that transition. But I think now I'm coming into my skin as an artist, and as a young woman.
Yeah. So you're saying it as you're coming into your own, so you're ready to take off, so to speak.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. And what are your parents saying?
They're pretty excited, as always, very encouraging of me continuing to pursue my dreams, but also surprised at how quickly things are happening,
Yeah.
and just being supportive parents and hoping the best for my art career in the future.
Yes. 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 Wonderful. Well, I'm sure we will be hearing a lot more from you and about you. And again, congratulations. And I wish you all the best. I think you have a great future ahead of you. And you will
Mm.
probably be making some impact in this Black Lives Matter issue, because I think the atmosphere is fertile right now,
Right.
and people are willing to listen and pay attention to what people of color are saying and doing. And so
Right.
I think you're just at the right place at the right time, as I said in the beginning. So I think it will all go very well. Thank you so much for talking with me today,
Thank you.
and,
Thank you for having me.
and have a wonderful career ahead of you.
Thank
All the
you.
best. Okay. And thanks to you for watching us on Carib Nation. We've been talking with Nneka Jones, Trinidadian artist whose work, as a result of the public death of George Floyd, made it to the cover of Time magazine. And that's it for now. Thank you so much again for joining us on Carib Nation. I'm Doris Dean, and remember, our motto here is one people, one culture, one Caribbean, one nation.